Welcome to Sunrise Sunday. This is the place to activate remembrances of your multidimensional self to reveal a deeper layer of the sacred within. Each message is an energetic transmission that elevates energetic frequency and consciousness. Higher consciousness activates new knowledge and wisdom from a soul level, leading to a higher expression of mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. The higher the frequency, the higher the expression of life, and our souls transcend into higher states of being. Sunrise Sunday is all about ascending you into this higher awareness. I'm your host and channel, Vidette Mayer. I'm stoked to have you here, and welcome to our sacred space. Let's get going. Welcome, sweet soul, to Sunrise Sunday. This is Vidette Mayer, your host and your partner and your co-pilot, so to speak, in this entire ascension process. What a process we are in. I don't know if you're anything like me. I had no idea that the ascension, the spiritual process called ascension, is a newer term in the last year and a half or so to me, and yet I know for sure that I've been on this journey for a very long time as a light worker. My vocabulary has expanded over the time, but the feeling of what has always been within, and kind of the feeling and the inspiration that has kept me personally moving forward, head down, kind of getting through the muck and mire of life, has been, my belief has been that I have been on that journey to cross paths with your soul, your consciousness at this time, because I believe that we are all coming online faster and faster, and we're understanding more rapidly how powerful or how important our individual paths have been to the culmination of the ascension process of the entire planet. The ascension process is simply the process of our soul's evolution evolving into higher states of consciousness through the experience called life. And spiritually, that is the purpose of every single soul that comes into this world, is to expand their consciousness in their own unique way in order to get to the ultimate truth of how powerful and how massively important each individual consciousness, how important you are to the entire consciousness of the whole being, the God, nature, the cosmic I am. When we understand and let go of all of the pettiness of this 3D world, and the pettiness means all of the things that we think are so important, is really on the grand scale extremely, extremely petty compared to, not that there's really a comparison, but I'm going to use those words because I can't find anything else, but in awareness to the greater purpose and source of who you are, and that is a unique expression of the one source, and the one source is attempting to communicate, is attempting to send a message through you. And we tend to make this much harder than it has to be by finding all of the ways that we think we're here to serve, rather than just listening to our own soul's evolution and our own soul's prompting to where we need to be in every given moment, which is exactly where we are supposed to be and what we are supposed to do in that moment. When we really raise our awareness to that, we then start to tune into exactly the part of us that is here to evolve, and that is the part of us that is higher in consciousness and higher in intelligence, higher in importance than the petty 3D stuff that we worry about. So the purpose of Sunrise Sunday is to bring you here your consciousness, to multiply and expand with mine and the consciousnesses of every other soul being that comes here to co-create this multidimensional message, to remind us that, hey, keep your head down, keep your eye not on the prize. Keep your eye on what's important, and that is the multidimensionality of you and the power that you have to create in the multidimensional aspects of you, so that the 3D stuff is no longer petty. It's exactly a reflection of what is a soul reflection of your individual unique soul. We are moving faster and faster to these physical manifestations, sweet souls, of the life that reflects what our soul has been working us towards our entire lives. And many of us got off track because as the souls that we are deeply in tuned to the empathy and compassion of others. Therefore, we have allowed ourselves to be manipulated and pulled away from our own individual unique expressions into others' expressions of lives, because we wanted to make them happy. Rather than tuning into the empathy and putting our boundaries up, we allowed our boundaries to be infiltrated, and we lived the lives of others to make others happy at the discomfort of ourselves. Because as starseeds, as light workers, we knew how to alchemize feelings. We knew inherently what was important, even though our human minds maybe hadn't caught up. So we always wanted to make people happy and appease others and make everybody else comfortable, because we knew we could stand in the discomfort, because that's the world that we knew. Everything is switching, sweet soul. The whole polarity of, this is interesting, the whole polarity actually of this word came to me earlier. That's why I was saying it was interesting. The polarity of how we have lived is shifting in a very, very quick and spiraled way. What's happening is, for those of us who have been in that empathetic and compassionate state, giving of our compassion and giving of our empathy without fully, I think many of us know that we haven't fully received. We weren't filled up by the world as much as we were giving into the world, and yet we found other ways to heal ourselves of that. Some of us went into healing it with addictive substances. Some of us healed it by going into nature. Some of us healed it by journaling. Some of us, we all found our ways to kind of deal with and alchemize the outer world, not filling us up and depleting us more than we were giving ourselves. That has all come to an end, because that kind of life is not sustainable. A compassionate and empathetic being, always giving the empathy, always giving and giving back to herself as much as she could. However, with the imbalance, it does create an imbalance. And although our processes, or even though we may have had some healthier processes of alchemizing this dysfunction or this disharmony in our lives for so long, we got to a point where we knew our souls were saying, this isn't sustainable. There's a different way. And in these last few months, many of us have woken up to that and started to shift into a more truthful expression of self, because we are now going back to the polarity of, no, I need just as much to fill me as I am giving. Therefore, we have put boundaries down in these past few months, and in this past year, we've put more and more boundaries down to start protecting our own energy bodies, our multidimensional selves, our energetic, our emotional, our mental bodies, as well as our spiritual bodies, and also our physical bodies. Many light workers and starseeds have shed physical weight. Many have shed physical belongings, physical baggage, so to speak, or are in the process of doing that. You may be getting the idea to start to pare down things that you own. I'm in that process myself, and it's quite intense. And what I've come to understand is, we can do the Marie Kondo process and tidy up our homes, but when we start to tidy up our entire lives, not just our homes, but like the relationships within those homes, and then the relationships outside of the homes that affect the energy inside the home. So if you have outside relationships like bosses, or any other relationship that affects you in any multidimensional way in physicality, or harms you in any way, that goes into your home. So the home space becomes extremely, extremely messy. And what we're being taught is to start cleaning from the outside inside. But if we're also cleaning from the inside outside, there's going to be some really big messes that many of us have been in this year, and may still be cleaning up, may still be navigating. So life can be really intense right now. For many of us, it is extremely intense, because we are watching the outer world kind of expand into places we have never seen before. We've seen our politics, our healthcare systems, we've seen our schools go into dangerously lower vibrational spaces, and there's great concern there. So when we look outside, there seems to be messiness. When we come inside, if we're navigating and still cleaning up and tidying up all of the different baggage and all of the different relationships, and we tidy up our home space in physicality as well as in spirituality, it's intense right now. Last week was extremely intense energetically, and this week it is going to be even more so. So I want to break that down a little bit for you. So it's nothing to fear. It's simply an expectation of awareness to hold for the week. Because intensity doesn't always mean something to fear. Intensity in this realm feels a lot like the excitement of opening up a new gift or accepting a surprise. There could be a little bit of fear in it, because you don't want to be disappointed. It could be a little bit of excitement and bliss. So this week is going to be that. You have to remember in the unique expression of your life that we are all moving into a brand new expression. And if you're on this call, it's your soul co-creating this. That's how I know that you're in a similar physical expression of or a physical change in life as where I am. It's just being expressed very differently. So as we move into this new unknown space in our lives, where there's a lot of questions, there's so many unknowns, probably more so than you have ever had previously, and yet there's so much fun and freedom in that. The feeling of freedom is the part that is shocking many of us, because it's the feeling, it's the thing, it's the destination we've looked forward to for as long as we can, to be able to have the space and the energy to be fully free and to be completely us, and to move about this world, whatever that means to you, in the way that is fully expressed of us. And yet we've never really done that. So we're not really sure how to do it, right? So there's a lot of questions of like, how do I do this? And who do I want to be? And if you're a little bit more certain about who you are, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, the reality of all of the possibilities that are open to you is now coming back and almost feeling like a little bit of fear, but it's really excitement, because it's like the realization that I can be whomever I want to be. I also believe that you already know this, but I want to remind you, because it's a really big message that I'm getting to send forth to you. And when I say to you, it's also to me as well. And in my own physicality, I need to hear these messages just as much as you do. And thank you for helping to co-create with me this message. The thing that we have to remember is we are still not going to be for everyone. We have always tried to be for everyone and to please everyone, and we know how exhausting that is. We had to kind of let that play out before we got to the point where we just laughed and said, this is stupid. Why do I keep doing this? No one's happy with me. No one really appreciates it. And it's not a victimization thing. It's just, for the effort that you've been putting in, it has felt like it hasn't really been recognized. But you know, sweet soul, in your heart, how much of an effort that you gave to attempt to make others happy. And when we finally got to that emotional intelligence of maturity and understood that, oh, it's not ours to do to make others happy. Like we know now, we understand fully what it means that we have to make ourselves happy. We have put many boundaries up over these past few months, but remember that even those people who may be strangers, who may not know you, or even those who do, who are going to still attempt to come through your boundaries, they are going to probably still disagree and still not fully support you and or your life. And that is where we're going to get some practice this week with standing up and literally being our true selves and not explaining anymore, not feeling like you have to defend yourself. This is when you stand up and face your true north, and you state your truth, and you say, it's okay if you don't agree, I'm all right with that. And you keep walking forward, because now is the time when we step into these next few months is really going to be a quick manifestation of things, as far as clarity and awareness and stepping forward and the steps, what's the next step to take. We're moving into a great amount of flow for us, but we're just getting started. So if it seems like, oh man, this person's coming at, or this, what, now I have to defend myself to this person, this is the week to remind yourself that there is no more defending. There is only freedom in front of you. You simply just say, I am stepping forward, and you can either go with me or not, and you move forward. No matter what the situation is this week, you are going to feel some ultimate power of some sort, a power beyond anything that you have felt. I don't know really what that is. I just get the message to pass on to you that it's really important to be aware and embrace that power, because that's going to become your norm. What feels like a burst of confidence and excitement and bliss and confidence is really just keeps coming up to me. Like all of a sudden you have these washes where you stand in your power and you speak your truth, and all of a sudden it just kind of works in your mind. You're like, oh, that was easier than I thought. Those moments you're going to fill up and be like, oh my gosh, I really am this powerful when I am myself. So in those moments, really pay attention, because those are the moments that are going to become more and more and more. And the more you become aware of them, and you pull them into your consciousness, take a sip of water, anchor it in, and say, that is who I am. That feeling of power that just flowed through me, that is who I am. And you take a big sip, and you recognize that moment as clearly as you can. Because the more you recognize it, the more you embody it, the more you experience it, the more you become it, and the more then it moves into your normal operating system, so to speak. And when you operate like that on a day-to-day basis, holding your boundaries, holding your power, speaking your truth, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. Can you imagine, sweet soul, what will be in 2 months from now, in 3 months from now, in a year from now? So embrace those moments of like those power surges. We are being helped as well this week intensely by our solar weather. We have like days worth of coronal mass injections and solar flares that have been blasted off the sun. We are in a highly, highly cosmically intense solar storm, so to speak, at the moment. So all of that extra solar energy is coming in, and it is that photonic light is kind of almost, I'm trying to come up with a metaphor, like blasting the thoughts and the consciousness that we operate in this week, and it's multiplying and expanding it. So if you are in some depths of emotions or feelings that you don't really want to be expanding more of, alchemize it, sit with it, and allow it to be healed in the moment. Don't let it go, because if you just bury it down, remember that these solar energies are coming in, and they're kind of like just baking and plumping up everything on all the emotions in our consciousness. So we want to be really clear, and really aware to be tuned into our emotional state this week. And so we are alchemizing the lower density things quickly because we don't want to, necessarily expand and multiply. At least I don't. And if you do, then, sit in it more. But for most of us, I do believe that we will be alchemizing any last, kind of remaining residual yuck by standing in our power, speaking our truth, overcoming, alchemizing, and multiplying, then standing in that powerful state of flow and bliss and saying, wow, I really am the badass I always knew I was. I knew I could do that. And when you are in that power and you are excited, that cosmic energy is also flowing in through these, through nature, through our atmosphere. And we are multiplying and expanding that into higher expressions, which is how you are going to grow into this more powerful operating system faster because of the help of these solar winds and these solar energies. So overall, this is a really this is going to be an intense week, and it's going to be so beautiful. The treasure at the end, the treasure is at the end. We're all looking for the treasure, right? And the treasure being the spark of inspiration. The treasure maybe being to feel whole, healthy, and complete again. The treasure, whatever your treasure is. The treasure, for me, is, it's a lot of things. But for this particular week in my own life, we're making a huge physical move. And the treasure for me is to be on the other side of it in a state of peace and joy, and knowing that this decision, that this choice is in our highest and best good. Because if you're like me, there's a lot of us that are literally taking steps forward in our lives in full trust, in full faith, because we live by the principle of believing is seeing first. Right? We don't see it, then believe it. We are the ones that are taking our whole consciousness, the collective consciousness, into a completely different flow of energy where we believe things and then we see it. So many of us in the physical form now are taking steps towards what we know and we feel is right, but we can't see it yet. And that's where a lot of uncertainty is, and that is what we're really going to be facing this week. As there feels like conflict this week, it's going to feel more like the fear of the uncertainty, the fear of the unknown, and yet we just know, because we have been empathetic and compassionate beings our entire lives, and even though others couldn't see it, we could, and we are now knowing in our expanded confidence in our knowingness that when we get a feeling, it has been spot on. So we are moving forward because we know our feeling that is moving us forward is spot on to where our soul is taking us, and yet our human mind is still learning how to flow like this. It is completely recalibrating. Our human mind is completely reprogramming itself to overcome the egoic fear that it wants to spit out and have us stop moving forward, and yet we have done enough training with it where it knows it's not in control. But we're having to kind of nurture it and massage it through and say, it's okay, we're changing. This is not how we do it anymore. Thank you. I realize that in the past that would have been something that we would have worried about, but now it's not. That's not how we do things, and we have to move forward. So it's almost as if we are taking steps. We have an errant little child that we have to keep, nurturing and pulling along and saying, it's all right, it's all right. That's our human mind. As long as we are tuned into that this week and the awareness of what is it bringing up now and alchemizing it immediately. Oh, this again, okay, alchemizing it immediately. And we are starting to really, really kind of fine tune that multidimensional integrated multidimensional part self of us. We have brought all of our fragmented parts together over these last few weeks actually, and we have merged them. And we're just now kind of getting used to what it feels like to be an integrated multidimensional being. And your mind is still it's the final piece of it, that final piece of you that has to have this week to understand that it is safe in letting go of control to your soul, that it still has its your ego still has its place, and yet it's not number one anymore. It had to go into an equal expression of soul. So it's just learning how to be an equal and not the commander. So that's what this week is about. It will feel intense, but I think if to me it feels more like it's going to be an intensity on the inside, and then on the outside it'll just play out the way it's supposed to, so that you can step through this week in full beauty. The other thing that came through was a beautiful couple of words that when it came, I got the message of one enchanted evening for this week, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And I don't know what that is for you. I don't know even what that is for me, but it's the same aspect of believing is seeing, and I believe wholeheartedly there's some treasure for us when we find the treasure within, and that is those moments of power where all of a sudden we get it, That's going to be the treasure within, and we will be rewarded on the physical aspects and the physical planes of our existence with an enchanted evening of some sort. I would love to know what that is for you. So pay attention into your awareness. Some like in my mind, me sitting in some like beautiful romantic restaurant with my husband is, signifies a one enchanted evening for me. And yet, if I really could dig down to all the possibilities of that, there's many different possibilities of an enchanted evening that I would love to have. So keep the possibilities of what that means open, and just see what the universe or what God, source, nature, whatever it is that you call it. I call it Gus, God, universe, spirit. Whatever Gus wants to present to me as the expression of the enchanted evening, I want to allow it to come through and channel through me, so I'm surprised as well. So however your enchanted evening shows up, I would love to hear about it. So make sure you come back here and leave a comment about how it shows up, or anything else that came up for you during this week's Sunrise Sunday. I'd love to know. But let me just say this with gratitude. If you would just get grounded and maybe put your feet on the ground, get to a comfortable place. I'd like to anchor in this beautiful message with some anchoring thoughts for us to go into this week with. Okay. And I'm going to pull in the consciousness of this dog. I don't know if you can hear it or not on the recording, but there is a dog on the property next door that it is my belief it's not treated all that well, and it just barks and barks and barks, and it's barking right now. So if you can hear it, please send so much beauty and love to this wonderful being that is a spark in its own and in dog form from source itself. And it is a beautiful soul. It is a sentient being. It is a gift. And what I know for not only this dog, but for every soul that is tuning in to this recording, for every soul that is co-creating this recording, that whether it be a dog or whether it be a person, whether it be a king, whether it be a perceived quote-unquote peasant, every single soul living and breathing on this beautiful planet deserves freedom. Freedom and sovereignty. A freedom to be loved, to be nurtured, to be cared for in the highest and best good of its soul. And for any tethers, whether they be physical, whether they be emotional, whether they be mental, or whether they be etheric. May these tethers this week come into the awareness of every individual. These tethers that hold the individuals these sweet, sweet souls, these beings. These tethers hold these beings from their fullest expression. And what we know from this message, this beautiful message for this week, as this is the week that we step into fully our full power and we gain confidence day after day after day after day in being the powerful and free souls that we are. And the more that we nurture this power, these power surges, so to speak, and the more that we are aware and grateful for them, the confidence builds, our freedom expands, ideas expand, so that any tethers that are still around, still in existence, start to break, releasing any baggage, any limitation, any circumstance that is tethering any being in and on within this planet. Anything that's tethering any sentient beings to an energy or to a frequency that is lower than the frequency of this message, which is a message of love. All of those tethers fall away easy, effortlessly out of the physical field, etheric field, energetic field, emotional and mental fields. All of that. Any tethers are now exposed in the light, purged, fall out of your field, just like that, back into the Akashic records, leaving you only with timelines with every sentient being who is now being released of all tethers, feeling the release, feeling the freedom. Every sentient being gives gratitude as they feel those tethers fall away, with new awarenesses, new clarity, new solutions that then clear these tethers in the physical. How beautiful it is to be part of a collective of multidimensional souls that believe and co-create and then see. And from this vantage point, from this very vantage point, we choose to see, because we have aligned ourselves. We have integrated ourselves in multidimensional facets of our physical, energetic, and spiritual bodies, all in one, balanced, beautiful, powerful being. I give great thanks to you, sweet soul, for being here in your fully multidimensional and integrated, healthy, balanced way. Your soul simply just came together to co-create an energetic rising on this Sunrise Sunday for the entire planet, for the entire energetic grid of our planet. Feel the power in that. You were part of it. You co-created it. You co-created a power surge of light for the entire planet. Sweet soul, as a collective, we thank you. And as a collective, we continue our work to be those who upcharge, those who up-level, who upgrade this entire planet energetically, because we know and we believe that when the energy of the planet and the frequency of the planet rises, so does that of each individual and sentient being involved in this planetary space. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here. You are so, so loved and so appreciated. Thank you, sweet soul. Amen. Thanks for joining this week's Sunday Sunrise. If you've enjoyed your experience here, please don't forget to like and share this episode to help spread this important message for humanity. Also remember to leave a comment when this message has been received by your gentle soul. If you'd like to take this week's message further and sink down even deeper into its layers, join us in the You Quantum Collective, Sunday Sunrise, Integration Space, and Community. The U Quantum Collective is a gathering space for multidimensional souls dedicated to the daily devotion to Soul You. You will be nurtured in this space with daily wisdom, energetic transmissions, and events that enlighten your soul and elevate your frequency. This is a sacred collective that activates multidimensional you to co-create a lifestyle of true meaning, mission service, abundant health, and wealth in order to ascend into higher states of individual and collective consciousness. Thank you for being here, sweet soul. Your presence is more valuable than you know. Sacred you is always welcome here.